Jan, I could hear you from the other side of my fucking house. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god, Jan. Jan's getting touched up right now. Anyway. Hey guys, welcome to NPL Season 14 Race 3 at Singapore. Oh my god. How the fuck is he making that sound? What the fuck is happening, bro? Bro, he's so mad, it's so funny, bro. Bro, what's this yawn abuse I'm hearing, bro? I'm not enjoying hearing this. It's quite difficult on my ears. Can I just say, I'm pretty certain, if my brain is correct, we have every single team on the grid right now. Wait, what? It's raining in the race? Bro. Ferrari is back for the first time since season 11. Holy shit, it's been a while. It was it season 12 actually? Hi Hubert, welcome to the stream. This is MPL season 14 race 3 at Singapore. We are going into the third race of the season. We have 11 people here today, which is more than Bahrain. Good to see that. Second most amount of drivers have had for a race. We may see more coming along, whether I doubt it. Who the fuck is that? Oh my god, bro. Drax is joined. Oh. You'll have to wait till after quali. In the balls! Oh, he left! Yay! Anyway, so going into this race, we have Shank, the championship leader, heading into this race today. Only 3 points ahead of Fabian in second. Harry is not racing today and was not planning to. He is not really a championship contender, though he is third in the standings, tied on points with Fabian. They're both one win apiece, but Shank seems to have been the more consistent driver, as seems to be the case for him in his career in general. There he is in the normal Williams livery. The Atlassian Williams liveried car looks very nice. Heading onto the track now is the number 13 championship leading car, and probably the favourite for the championship, Shank, given he was P2 in the standings last season. There is John in the McLaren, coming around now down the back straight, leaving, getting temperature on the tyres in the classic McLaren livery. Oh my fucking god, in the background, Jan is getting brutally attacked by his little brother by the sounds of it. There's no fucking way. How is anyone going to be able to take this race seriously with this in the background the whole time? Oh my god, is that Levy starting a lap right behind John? John should be scared. Anyway, John comes out the final corner. He'll be the first driver to come into a lap here. Let's not have any... I don't want to have any telemetry on, because it ruins the screen. I like to just look at what's going on. You can look at the steering wheel anyway. Heading out the corner now. John looking pretty quick here. I'm hoping my stream quality's gone up since the last time I streamed, because I have changed a few settings to make it look better. Levy's in the wall hard. Has he got damage is the question. Looks as though he got away with it, but he's in a lap right behind John, actually, so he's probably banking on him being a little bit slower. Oh, John goes over the curve a little bit too hard there in the first sector, but it was pretty decent through there. Levy looking a little bit quicker so far in this lap than John. Chasing him down. There's a Haas behind them. Is that Bonfer or is that Felix? It's Felix behind. He's on a lap currently in P4. He's currently racing on a controller, unlike usual where he races on wheel, because the wheel is not working at the moment. And he is now driving through the middle sector. Pretty committed through these corners though on the controller. Of course, he used to drive on controller pretty much all the time when he first joined the league in season 10, all the way through till season 12. I'm pretty certain anyway. And now he heads through the middle sector. He's still continuing on his way. Shank meanwhile, the championship leader in a lap at the moment. He's probably one of the favourites for pole position today. We've seen him have good pace in qualifying at this track though. Also, not to mention Ski, who's also actually just made a big mistake in the middle sector there on his lap. If this rod looked that way. Really struggling for traction. He was the pole sitter last season in wet conditions at Singapore, which we are forecast to have in this session today, in the race. Oh, Ski again struggling with the traction off the corner. John there comes off. Felix just drove into the wall in the penultimate corner. And John goes quick to the 29.1. Levy seems to have lost some time there. Gets a 1 minute. Oh, he got damage on the front right end plate of his car. Felix gets a 30.2. That's a great lap from him. And watch Prashant managing as he slides through the middle sector. Yeah, flags are out for the Haas of Felix, I believe. Or is that a Mercedes of Jada? Ski goes second quickest with a 30.0. I'm sure he was like happy about that. Young gets a 29 flat. Pretty good lap from him. Ahead of John now in second place. Dan beats him with a 28.8. Way off the pace of what he was doing in practice for the sounds of it. But still, the track condition is young. Bonfo goes quickest at 128.6. Provisional pole for Bonfo. Dan there made a mistake apparently on his lap. Fabian goes second now. So it's Bonfo on provisional pole currently. Looking quick here today. He was in F2. He got pole in F2 earlier today at Singapore. Can he do the same in F1? That would be a very big story for him. Of course, last time a driver got the maiden pole at this track, they finished pretty well. Shank spun out the final corner. That's going to ruin his lap. Just a 31.9. Puts him in 9th place. So everyone's struggling for traction and for grip on the track at the moment. What's Dryce going to manage on the kick saber at the moment at the final corner? Here he comes. It is a 31.7. Goes ahead of Shank by 0.2. So Shank is the last of those who've done a lap. Hikwas Sarabi into a lap now. He's returning to the league now for the first time since season 11. Might have been season 12, don't quote me on that. I believe it was season 12 actually at Spain when it was the last race. Oh no, Jan has a big accident. Oh, he's on the inside there. You can see the car hit the wall on his lap and he's out. It looks like on his in lap it was. But he's still put in a lap, so he's going to be glad to know that he'll definitely not be last unless everyone else improves behind him. But it's a long way to go. Shank there currently heading back to the pit lane, I believe. And Levy's retired from the session too. Is he crashing the pit entry, it looks like maybe? I think Ski will have a good angle of this. Ski's got to watch out for Levy's crashed car. Hope he doesn't hit him or anything. Where is Levy is the question. And he's gone. Never mind. So 2 drivers out of the session already, as is often the case at Singapore. It's a track where qualifying can bite you, certainly, because it is a very tight street circuit with walls all around you. Of course, Aston Martin was down. Don't forget, Aston Martin had a ginormous crash here in 2023 in F1 with Lance Stroll, who, speaking of big crash, was almost crashing the pit entry there as Bonfo came in right in front of Dan. And meanwhile, is that Fabian going into another lap attempt here, down the main straight, going for a second fuel run here, down into turn 1. Looks very nicely committed through the first corner, using a bit of the exit curb, going over the curb on the exit there. Big bit of oversteer off the corner he goes. Not the cleanest first couple of corners, but still pretty decent from Fabian. Swinging the car through the right-hander, looking pretty committed still once again from Fabian on a track that has little to no grip. It's so slippery around here at Singapore, and I'm sure they'll see more of that in the race when it's raining. Yeah, 2 people DNF because that's just the nature of the track. Purple first sector for Fabian, great first sector from him. Not sure where he was. I can't see the message because fucking Hubert's chat is in the way. That's great. That's not his fault, but you know. So Fabian currently P2 in the qualifying session at the moment, but also overall Fabian is second in the standings, 3 points behind Pshenk, and he is currently down in P10, so Pshenk needs to get another lap there. If rain is forecast, I wouldn't be surprised if we see drivers using all 3 of their sets in qualifying today. What is Fabian going to manage the middle sector here is the question. Looks a lot cleaner than his previous attempt as he heads through this middle sector now. Fabian there is a 10.5 down. It looks like the used tyres are not a good option to go with here. And John also is only backs out of his lap. Fabian does. Is John on the lap now too? He's 0.3 up in the first sector, but he backs out. Or he should just go, oh, sorry, I'm stupid. He just improved and went 4th fastest. He went 0.3 quicker. So he's now only 100th of a second exactly behind Dan. Very close was John there to getting ahead of Dan. And still, though, it is Bonfo who's currently on provisional pole with a 128.6. His best lap in practice was supposedly a 28.4, so he's getting pretty close to that on his first attempt. I do believe we will see Bonfo getting into the low 28s, which I reckon will be around the pole time, maybe even a high 27. We'll see if anyone can manage it. So right, meanwhile, did a lap. There's a 31.6 just ahead of Drags there. Goes through the chicane. Oh, it's not the chicane, that is one of the corners later in the lap, but he has made a mistake there as Hadrada. I'm just going to call him Hadrada because I like calling him that. Drags there. Oh, he just crashed. He just crashed by himself. He wasn't even going fast. He just drove into the wall. That was unfortunate for him. No. Shank on that lap, so it's Dan on fresh tyres. Is that someone on the lap I just saw? Was that one of the Haas drivers? Bonfo there coming out the pit lane right now. Dan is on used tyres, as I can see on the telemetry. He's 1 lap old tyres. Don't lap on those currently. John was on 3-lap old tyres when he did that second run, so John definitely has the pace to go for the front row of the grid, I reckon, with that sort of pace. We'll see what he can manage. Here comes Ski into a lap. That's what I want to see right now. Ski, of course, going into the season, did say he would be a championship contender. Let's see if he can justify that with some good pace here in Singapore. We saw him on pole last season. What can he do this season? Goes in a little bit deep into the first corner there. Still looking pretty decent so far. He's off the corner there. Who? Dylan said he'd be a championship contender. No, yeah, but we'll see. Getting a big tow though from the Haas driver in front of him. I think that was Felix coming out of the pit lane. It was, and he goes past. He is not actually improving in the first sector. He's on a fresh set of tyres. Really struggling here is Ski now for pace in qualifying. Something I didn't really expect to see. He is a controller player though, so happens. Very nice through that corner. Very committed through that turn now as he heads through the middle sector now. Yeah, flags are out from McLaren, moving out of the way of the Mercedes of Kajada. Did Ski just hit the inside wall? No, he didn't. He just went a little bit wide. Goes over the curve too much. That's going to cost him some traction on the exit. There's a decent amount of battery to use. He's really struggling for grip in these corners, man. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, and what's it? Yeah. Wait, what? What, in quali? 50.47. Oh, and Ski backs out. He's had enough of this lap. Fair enough for him. He was not on the best lap. It was pretty messy. Sarabi's on a lap, but he's half a second down in the first sector. Schenk is on a great lap here. He's 3/10 up in the last sector. He's very lost all of his time, so it looks as though he's going into a great lap, but he's got a Haas in front of him. Is that a driver on a lap, or is that Felix? Felix coming into a lap now is going to hold up Schenk with a little bit of dirty air, but it's not really his fault. He came up at a bad time there, did Schenk now. Through the final corner he goes. Gets, I think this will be quickest. It will indeed. 1:28.1, half a second quicker than Bonfo. That's a great lap from Schenk there. It's put on Bridge on the pole, and it goes down in second with a 28.3, 2/10 off the pace of Schenk now. But on a used set, Dan did that on. So Dan on a used set, almost as quick as Schenk on a fresh set. That's definitely a very concerning time for these drivers around. And Bonfo is not improving in the first sector. What can you do in the middle sector? Maybe he can get that right back. Probably meanwhile, going for lap now once again. 28.7, close to pole position, but he's not been known for his quality pace around here. He won here only on race pace in the last 2 seasons. What was that, Dan? Oh, did I? It's just the mic. How do I fix that? I don't even know. John's on his lap, cutting some corners to pass the time. Felix continues on. Is Ski on a lap? No, he's not. Schenk did the lap just now. Oh, but Dan's in the rudder ferry? Okay. Bonfo there still is not improving on his lap currently in the middle sector, but he's backed out of his lap, fair enough. Fabian, though, is improving the fastest by 0.005 of a second. What's he going to be looking like for Delta in the middle sector now? Continuing on his way. Yeah, flags are out. Is that Dan again? Has he spun around? Dan has spun around on what I believe was BSN lap. Meanwhile, Fabian continues on. Yeah, flags are out in the middle sector. Is that Bonfo going to the pit lane? Yes, it is. That was the last sector, I should say. Fabian, though, let's see what his middle sector split is looking like. Looks like a pretty tidy lap from what I've seen, but we'll see what the sector time is saying. Wouldn't be in the 1 minute 3s, and that's a great middle sector from Fabian. This looks like a purple lap. He's 3.5 tenths up, and Fabian looking poised to get pole position. A track that he's really struggled with for quali pace ever since season 11, when he was second on the grid for that race in the McLaren 1-2, in which I got pole position. Fabian was looking very good in that session. Season 12, though, he qualified down in P6, P12 in season 13 in a wet qualifying session. What can he do today in season 14? Very committed through the last corner. Not quite quick enough for pole. It was so close, just 0.04 of a second. And Dervas supporting Schenk there. That was a great lap there from Fabian. 0.6 quicker than the previous attempt. So your main title rivals there in the top 3 positions, as you'd like to see in the season. You expect to see more of that as the season goes on. Meanwhile, John's on a great lap, a really good lap. John could genuinely get pole with this sort of pace, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, using the curves quite a bit there. Can John get his first career pole position driving for McLaren here today in his 5th season in the league? Oh, he lost all of his time though. Oh, he's in the wall. He's out of the session. Big accident for John. He braked too late and he's in the way of a Ferrari going by now. Is he on a lap? No, he's on his out lap, thankfully, but wow, John is out of the session. Oh, John got distracted. Oh man. Unfortunate with John. He was on a wonderful lap. He was going to get himself maybe even on the front row, and then he crashed out of the session when he was 3.5 tenths up. Lost all of his time beforehand, and that cost him dearly in the session. Here comes Ski now into a lap. Ski hasn't managed to put it together just yet in the Ferrari, but I don't doubt he can get a lap together here. That is very unlucky for John, as Stuart is saying in the chat. Here comes Ski now. Nice soft phone one. Now, there's a Haas out the way, the O flags are out. Is there a spun car? Is it a stopped car? Ski there through the first sector. Not the most committed, but definitely more clean than his previous few attempts, it looks like. Using plenty of battery down the back straight. What's it going to be in the first sector? He's down by 3,000s, but still a long way to go in lap. Ski's quality pace, nowhere near as good as it was the previous season here, but we'll see what he can manage. And now corner to corner, that was much cleaner on the exit of the turn. Less wheel spin this time. Oh, he got beached on the curb again. He keeps using too much curb. He did this in Australia as well. It's the one thing I'd say is really holding him back for pace, is the fact he uses too much curb when he doesn't need to. And it costs him momentum through the corner. He's doing it again, cuts the inside nicely. That was much more of a clean attempt there. No, that was not a corner cut. That was the curb. No, that was not a severe corner cut, let's be for real. Here comes Ski though on a lap number 38 Ferrari now, heading through the middle sector. What's going to be almost half a second up, and the last sector really lost a lot of time. So Ski on a really good lap here, much cleaner than his previous attempts. This could be enough to get on the top front 2 rows of the grid maybe. Bonfer's on that lap as well, so too is another car. Here comes him into the final corner now. Very nice cuts for the inside now, using the curb as well, getting on the traction nicely. This is a pretty good lap from Ski. What's it going to put him in? Is this going to be a provisional pole for him even? Not quite. Oh, he puts himself up to P. Oh, he didn't even go off the position. He's still behind Jan. Goes a second quicker, but still 29.0, 9/10 off the pace of first position for Schenk at the moment. Bonfer on that lap now. Meanwhile, Ferrari goes into 9th fastest now. He goes almost half a second quicker. That's over a second quicker even. French Hajarda now. Great lap from him, puts into P9 ahead of Levy, who's out of the session. It was a... It's true. This whole season, John and Bonfer have been completely inseparable on the track. We'll see if that continues today. That trend has been the case ever since Bahrain, where we've seen them battling every single session. Also, here's your best friend. That is true. Last season, John took out Jan on purpose, and he's now going to start next to him on the grid. Look at this. Look at the speeding that Ski's doing to get back to the pit lane. I don't think he's going to manage to get back in time to do a final run, but we have a lot of people going into those runs. Bonfer is one of them. How is he going to be doing on his final attempt here in the Haas? We'll look around to see different drivers. We see Hajarda's currently not on a lap. Drags us in the pit lane. I don't think he's going to come back out in time. Bonfer, no, he made a mistake and he backs out of his lap. He has got time to go for another lap though if he can save battery. The tyres will be in decent condition. What's Dan managing now? Off the corner. He is improving by 3/10. This is enough for pole position for Dan. He's on a great lap here. Has he made a mistake though is the question. Going into final chicane. Very, very nicely committed through Dan there. Great rotation. The car. I've never seen a car rotate so nicely through that corner. Good stuff from Dan. Through the final corner, completely flat out. What's it going to be for Dan? It is provisional pole with a 27.9. So what can Dan get pole position? Here comes Schenker to a lap now himself and Fabian as well. So Bonfro will save battery as best he can. Dan does as best he can at the end of the session, gets a 27. That was a great lap from Dan. So Fabian then needs to get himself in this picture. So Dan looking to get his first pole position in a long time. Dan gets front wing damage and he crashed out of the session, fair enough. Bonfro now in a lap as well. He flings the car into the first corner. We've seen him at great pace here at Singapore. Oh no, he made a mistake and he hits the wall. And that's it, his session's over. He backs out straight away of his lap, and that's a shame for him. His teammate, however, is on a lap behind him. Schenk managed now. He's 2/10 off in the first sector alone. This will be enough for pole position as it is. Will Schenk manage to go any quicker? Schenk there on a great lap so far. Can he improve even more is the question. Turns in. And Schenk there. Ooh, a little bit of a slide for the middle sector, but still looks pretty good so far. Nice straight braking. Dan now finally retired from the session and right in the middle of the track. And oh, Felix is in the wall. Felix is in the wall and Ski's out of the session too. Schenk there only a 10.5 up. This isn't enough for pole. It's going to be so close. It's all down to the last sector here. But Schenk has plenty of battery to use. This is going to be super close between Dan, Fabian and Schenk. What's Fabian looking like? He's not improving in the first sector. He backed out? Oh shit, his drag's been disconnected. Oh, you got, okay, he's got him. I'll come to the right. Oh no, Fabian almost crashed. I think he did. And he has. Schenk though goes second, and he misses out on pole. He goes only a 10.5 quicker, and Dan goes on pole position for the first time since Jeddah season 13. With Fabian backed out of his lap. That will be it. Dan gets pole position in Singapore. Not what he would have expected. Wonderful lap from Dan. Puts himself on pole position. That's exactly where he wants to be. Drax has joined back. Felix has retired from the session, but big accident at the end. Sarabi though, is he on a lap? He's half a second down. And Drax will finish in last place, Levy in P10. So that concludes qualifying. Shank not quite doing enough to get ahead of Dan in qualifying, and Dan gets his first pole in a long time. If it was actually race 3 of was it race 4 of last season, or was it race 3? I believe it was race 3 of last season when Dan got his last pole, and it's race 3 of this season he gets another pole. So, the more things change, the more they stay the same, as Dan gets his first pole position for Aston Martin, and we'll look to turn that pole position to the win, I should say, later in the race, in a wet race at Singapore. It's going to be a very interesting weekend. The building up hits, and we'll wait for the session to end. Jan, shut the fuck up. Alright, what are you saying, Jan? He won't take you out, man. So, pole position goes to Dan Maurice, the man, the myth, the legend. Shang gets P2, just under a tenth behind him. It's Fabian in P3, Bonfer in P4, John in P5, quite a far adrift. So then it's Jan in P6 right behind him. Ski in P7, P8 for Felix, P9 for Saravi. Then it's Levy and Drags in P10 and 11 respectively. Going into the race here at Singapore in wet conditions. It would seem like the forecast indicates a wet race at Singapore. We'll see what it looks like. It's actually dry. It's dry at the moment. We might see rain later in the race though. Also, it's a very high chance, actually, that it won't even rain today. Unless there's a safety car or two, we could see a dry race all the way through, but rain is forecast for the end of the race today. We'll see if it makes a difference, unlike usual, where it doesn't. We'll find out soon. But it's dry for the start of the race. These drivers will be glad to know. So a lot of the drivers do not like the wet conditions here. Schenk probably would have been hoping for that, as we saw his great pace in the rain in Australia, of course. He led the way at the beginning by a huge margin before the rain cleared away. Shank said his controller always dies during Singapore, which would not be tough for him. Did he die in Season 12 then? I don't know what that means. Shank's a controller player, yeah. Yeah, no, he's really good. So, oh, thank God. I thought I didn't make the lobby. Dan goes into pole position and leads and wins the race. What a go. Anyway, so let me just count. 9 of the 10 teams are in attendance today. The only team that's not attending this race is VCARB, with Harry and CB both not racing today, unfortunately. CB, not a big fan of Singapore anyway, and Harry could not race. No, Haas have 2 drivers too. So McLaren and Haas, the only teams have a full lineup with Bonfer and Felix at Haas and John and Fabian at McLaren. We'll see as well where the rest of the field lays. So McLaren looking to come back. Of course, they're only 5 points off the lead of the constructors anyway, behind Williams in first. We've had a good start with the likes of Hubert and Dervas giving them nice points. Schenk will be looking to get in this fight once again. Though, then again, Aston Martin is also not too far back from the lead, guys. 13 points off VCARB and P3, who are 9 points off the Constructors' Championship lead. That's going to ruin their Constructors' chances today, with both drivers not racing. What's going on? Why is everyone complaining? Oh, car on the wall. In the formation there. Not tough mango. I was a TDR driver. So Felix said he wouldn't race, then there's no racing, thank God. Oh, he's in the wall again. Oh my God, someone just ate shit. Was that fucking... Who was that? Was that Ski? Oh my God. Nah, he didn't do that, he wouldn't do that. So, interesting strategy. Okay, if you clipped it, then we'll go into the race and we'll investigate if it feels that we need to. Hubert P. Van Barry mentioned, yes indeed. Should they feel good, mate? Just do the race, man. We can investigate after the race if you really care, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Dan. So actually, the whole top 5 on mediums highs. The only drivers on the hards today are Jan in P6 and Suarvi in P9. 6-9 mentioned. Let's see how that goes. We have the likes of Fabian Pschenker down at the front. Of course, Fabian won the last 2 races here, and he's starting from P3. I think it's a great chance for Fabian to win this race. But Dan is looking quicker this season, so too is Pschenk. We should see a really close lead fight between several drivers. Bonfer in P4, one of the highest qualifying sessions he's ever had. Let's see how this goes. Same as Kota last season, I'm pretty certain. Here we go then, 5 red lights for the drivers for 31 laps at the Singapore Grand Prix, and it is. Lights out, and away we go. Good start from Dan. Is Pschenk going to get a bad start? Fabian to the outside already, and if Pschenk goes straight into the lead into the first corner, it's true right into turn 1. Dan goes round the outside, side by side with Pschenk into the first turn. Pschenk does take the lead with another great start from him. Can Dan get the switchback off the exit? Dan gets some oversteer, but he goes for it. It's side by side for the race leader between Pschenk and Dan, and John and Bonfer side by side behind them. Dan to the outside. Can he get past Pschenk at the start of the race? That is the big question at hand here. It's going to be a battle for between the two of them. Meanwhile, in the background, Felix making some moves on the background. Levy had a great start up to P8. But Dan there, right to the outside. Can he go around the outside of Pschenk here on this? Because he was pushed wide from the curb. And now he's going to go down the inside. Pschenk sends it though. Trying to force himself through there. It's forcing the issue on Dan. And it's a huge battle for position up front. Right outside goes Dan now. Wonderful racing between the top two. And the safety. It's out of virtual safety car. Dan was ahead, and Dan will get the position, and he's now going to lead the race from Pschenk in P2. Crucial for Dan to get the lead in the start of this race. Great racing from the two of them to get ahead, and Dan preserves his race lead from Pschenk in P2 and Fabian in P3. John gets ahead of Bonfer in P4, and the only position change is Levy going up 2 places on the start, and also John going ahead of Bonfer as well. So great racing at the start of the race, very clean. But however, Levy does have front wing damage. Has anyone else got damage is the question. I think there's damage to Levy's car. Big damage to Drag's car. The front wing is missing on the car entirely, and that's ruined his race already at the start. What happened to Drags, I wonder? Oh, Hajada has big damage as well. Both sides of the end plates of his car have been completely sawn away from his Mercedes, so big collision in the background. Oh no, Hajada got a penalty drive-through there for speeding under the VSC, and incident behind is that Felix and Drags. Felix and Hajada maybe? What's going on here? Felix though is way behind this field. Levy though chasing down Ski in P7, he's chasing down Jan in P6, he's chasing down Bonfer, and so on and so forth. Anyway, Pschenk in P2 though, looking very racy here against Dan. He's trying really hard to close in. He's braking super late. He's going to hit the back of him at this rate if he's not careful, but Fabian just pouncing behind them. He's always been very good in the race at Singapore. Here comes Pschenk there already. Then has DRS been enabled? Yes, it is. How low are Pschenk's wings? Let's find out. Heading down into this corner. Is he going to use some battery? Not close enough to get past, and Dan will lead the way on the first lap. Dan winless since Bahrain season 13, the first race of last season. He's looking to get a winner today, and so far so good for him. Fabian though staying here in P3, keeping them honest. John though looking to close in on this lead fight. If they keep squabbling, but he may well get in that fight with Bonfer right behind him once again, as he often is in this league. And Jan in P6, looking really quick on the hard tyres actually. He has great pace in the Red Bull at the moment. Don't discount him from this race. And Ski goes wide. I don't know what's going on with Ski today. He's really struggling for grip in that Ferrari. Almost at the wall there actually. And now Pschenk in P2, chasing down Dan in P1. Can he go for it? Not quite close enough. Pschenk looks so quick here. Dan is doing what he can to defend. And I heard an incident in the back there, was there? Levy is battling with Ski actually for P7. That's like, oh, big accident, Levy. That's Ferrari out of the race. That could be a safety car. It is. Safety car deployed. And that was right, Pschenk was right on the back of Dan there. And now it's all a matter of strategy. Who's going to do what? Is someone going to pit is the question. Drags has pitted for a new front wing and for hard tyres, but he's got damage on the front wing on both sides. John pits. John's the first one to try it. He's going to pit for hards, I'm assuming, and try and go to the end because you know he can. John there on hard tyres. And John there goes on hards. Will do his best to go as far as he can, I'm sure. Only one to pit, and Drag may well pit when he does eventually come around, but this is good for Drag so he can get back into this race now. And we will get guaranteed points for Sauber, or at least a point, because Hajada is out of the race in P11 on the return to NPL. Very unfortunate for him. So a hectic start to the race, but Stan that leads, Pschenk in P2, and Fabian is now P3. Yeah, Dan, you need to lock in on this defense, man. So Dan is doing what he can to defend against Pschenk, who's picking up a great fight already. It was a wonderful pace. Pace that I don't know why no one saw coming. May I just say that Pschenk has really good pace at this track, and no one seems to notice, because last season he was really fast at the start and then just got fucked over by himself. You know, Shank, yeah, last season, he overtook me and just pulled away like it was nothing, and it was pretty scary. But then he genuinely fumbled, so his control had some issues, and then he fumbled as well, and yeah, so on. Whoa, Fabian, Jesus Christ, man. Almost drove into the back of Shank for P2 there, which was an unnecessary risk to drive that fast under the safety car. Levy, will he pit for knee damage? I don't think, for knee front wing knee front wing, I should say. It is an Aston Martin 1-2. Look at that green. This is what would have happened if Dylan was racing, but anyway. Sadly, Dylan can't make it today. You never know, Dan. I think he's pretty good. Dylan needs to just get a life and just break up with his girlfriend and just race and win every race. He should, yeah, lose his life. Okay, that's not the best way of saying it, but you know what I mean. I do not promote self-harm in this channel. Shanky P2 there. Just staying on the inside. Is anyone else going to pit here? Doesn't look like it. Getting pretty stacked up at the back of the field here. Levy and Felix almost at the back of someone there. Meanwhile, John on the hard tyres, slowly catching up to the grid here. Field of drivers on this fresh hard tyres. He should be able to make quick work of the leading cars and also provide help for his teammate in strategy so he can stay out and maybe hold up drivers who've pitted, allowing Fabian to go long, I'm assuming, on his first stint. So this could get interesting, and the strategy, this is what the benefit of having two cars is. John will help Fabian and Shank, will help Fabian to fight against Shank and Dan as best he can. I'm sure he'll do a great job of that. John is a good wingman in this series as a teammate. We saw it in F2 earlier today, helping Jan out in MP Motorsport to fight against me, which was fun to be a part of. Drags there. Drags had damage, had to pit, so... Yeah, don't diss my boy Drags, he's the GOAT. Oh, so Drags is going to be investigating an incident with someone. Oh, Dan has left. Is he disconnected? I think he disconnected from the session. He's kind of ghosted. Oh, he's back. He's back. Oh, thank God, bro. I was going to say, because if you disconnect from the race lead, that would have been so bad. Yeah, I have a lag cable and it makes me disconnect more, so... So, from lovers to enemies for Hajada and Felix, unfortunately. Hajada was our first Swedish driver since, I believe, Trainman? I don't think it's going to come in this lap because Drags hasn't come yet. Has John crashed? Oh no! The big collision there with Ski getting a penalty now for a collision with Jan. Has front wing damage as well. That's an unnecessary penalty if you ask me. He will likely pit. Oh no. That could be investigated if Ski does choose to. Or Jan even, because he was involved in that incident. So that's a new strategy needed for Ski. He'll have to go for more aggressive strategy on this restart. Serving his penalty though, thankfully for him, under the pit stop, which is good news for the Ferrari team. This is the only entry for today. Darksin's wheel was not working, so mechanical issues plaguing Ferrari once again in this season. And as it did last season with Harry, same issue with the wheel. So affected Darksin. And Frosty has said, and I quote, "Jan isn't league ready, ban him." Anyway. Jan is Vintrix, the Red Bull driver. So, 3 people watching my stream, hello. If you're not watching, as it stands, Dan would be the championship leader going into the next race of the season at Abu Dhabi. So, we'll see how this goes. Which should be our third championship leader in 3 races. We don't see that very often. I don't think that's ever happened before, actually. Not since season 2, certainly. But I think even then it wasn't 3 different championship leaders in the first 3 races. I'm pretty certain. So Frosty said he watched it happen. I can only see so much of the chat. I should probably get the full chat open, to be honest, on my phone. But I don't want to make my internet shit. Safe car in this lap. Everyone will be glad to know. Is there an incident again in the background? Don't tell me there was. Big stack up there with Bonfo, Yarn, and Levy, and then we have Felix behind that. P8 already for John, who's pitted already. Drags as well, and then Ski's gonna have to hurry the fuck up if he wants to catch up to his pack. Or else he'll be in a bit of world of trouble here. He's on the hard tires already, trying an alternate strategy now. Ski, I gotta be honest, I'm not sure. Ski's pace is not as quick as I would have expected. He got pole last season, not looking as quick this season, so we'll see what he can do. But Ski, that's Drags. Drags joined before you did, honestly. He's been around for a while. He also has race while you have. So what's Dan gonna do on the restart? Here he goes now. Good restart from Dan. Oh, Shane made a mistake, and that's gonna be a chance for Fabian to get past him. Already on the restart, Fabian's alongside him on the outside line. And this is big for Shank's championship lead. Here comes Fabian now around the outside. Is he going to go for it? It's going to be close. Bonfo's in this fight as well. And it's side by side Team Shank and Fabian. Fabian gets pushed to the curb and is now still MP3, but he's right behind Shank, and that has allowed Dan to pull out of a second of the cars behind. And now Shank under all sorts of pressure from Fabian behind him. Meanwhile, Ski goes past Drags as Felix goes down to last place. That's Felix in the wall, looks like. He is indeed. Felix is in the wall there in the background. Will that be another safety car? I don't think so. I'm Shank there, trying anything he can to defend for Fabian, does just about manage to fend him off. Meanwhile behind, it's Ski right behind John, who's going down the inside of Levy now, in the hairpin, and he makes a mistake, hits the wall. Oh, John there made a bit of an overstretch there, trying to break down the inside and goes into the wall. Fortunate contact with John there. And that's given him front wing damage, and that's ruined his progress once again. Pitting in this position is always a risk. John there will try his best to stay close to the cars ahead with the front wing damage he has. His strategy just not paying off here for John, it looks like. Hoping for another safety car, which Felix would also hope for, and down in P10 now. Complete chaos in this race so far. Just the product of racing at Singapore, it would seem. Dan is pulling away from these cars behind. He's looking pretty quick today in the Aston Martin. Already on lap 6, quite far through. Meanwhile, Drax goes past John, but John gets the switchback. It's a battle for P8 between these two. John around the outside, can he make it stick? To get back past him, yes he can. On those fresh hard tyres, despite the front wing damage he's doing what he can to pull up a fight against Drags. We've seen Drags fight McLaren already this season with Fabian at Bahrain, and now it's the other McLaren he's battling with. Look at the switchback from Drags. And he can't go for it. John there goes in very deep though, and this is going to give Drags a chance to go down the inside, off the corner. Great battle between these two for P8. Into the first corner, here comes Drags on the inside. No battles up front for now, just watching vigilantly at all the battles that there are going on, and now John does go past Drags for P8. Should Ski go to the end? Probably. I mean, you may as well. Meanwhile, here comes Ski once again, chasing down Levy for P6 now. Trying what he can. Looks pretty quick. Levy couldn't pick a way to go, and Ski goes around the outside of Levy now. Levy goes down the inside, contact, and Ski makes it stick around the outside. That was a fair overtake, I'd say. I don't think there was anything illegal about that. Levy there goes in deep, almost hits the wall. Meanwhile, Fabian is so close to back up Shank for P2. And this battle now continues. Felix pits now for a new front wing. He had to. He has so much damage on the front left side of the car. He will now pit to serve, to get rid of that front wing damage he had, and now go onto the hard tyres. I'm sure to go as long as he can. Fabian though, right behind Shank. Shank is so much slower than Fabian. Look at that, once again Dan is just pulling away from these cars behind, and Fabian is doing what he can to get past Shank, and down the inside he goes. Can he make it stick? On the inside, Fabian goes, contact almost. Oh, it's so close, side by side off the corner. But Fabian will have that double DRS detection and goes around the outside now through the fourth to last corner even. Can he get past Shank down the inside? It's so close to contact. Oh my god. And he gets it down the inside as Fabian. Great move into P2. And now Fabian will set aside after Dan, the driver who won the last 2 seasons here at Singapore. Looking racy here on the restart. Will now chase down Dan for P1. Shank will be pulled along with him. And now it's going to be an even more interesting fight, I'd say, because Fabian is the favourite to win this race going in, purely based on the last 2 seasons. Meanwhile, Jan is battling with Bonfa for P4 on the hard tyres. Looking pretty quick. Jan has had great pace today so far. Looking like a front-running driver is Jan in this race, so too is Bonfo, who's, in fairness, dropped off a little bit from Shank, but looking pretty quick nonetheless. Jan goes in deep there, and Ski's now chasing them down, the Ferrari. So the midfield getting interesting now, as John now chasing down Levy already, has caught up to him. Levy has no pace on those medium tyres at the moment with that front-wing damage, and Drags has fallen off a cliff too. Hello, and Chosen, welcome to the stream. Meanwhile, Felix has a penalty, I believe. How big is it? Let's have a look. 10 seconds. Must have cut a corner or two. And maybe spend the pit lane or something. I don't think he did though. Shank there really struggling actually. What's going on with him? He's struggling to stay close to Fabian now. He's just being really careful. But look at this pace. Fabian is blisteringly quick. He's gained so much time on Dan already. But Dan just needs to remain calm. Ooh, sliding a lot is Dan already. Dan having some issues with that traction off the corners. Here comes Jan though. Meanwhile, look at John. He's right behind Levy now. To the inside he goes on the hard tyres. Can he make a move stick here with the double DRS? Surely he will. Jan as well getting very close to Bonfo, but it's the battle I want to see between John and Levy. Levy goes to the inside to defend. John will get the switch back and goes for it on the exit using the battery where he can to get past Levy. So close to the two side by side. Two drivers with front wing damage. Can John go down the inside? Levy's going to go stand it to the inside maybe. Thought about it, couldn't make it. Good race between the two of them. And Fabian gets the fastest lap, and he's way quicker than Dan. My God. Fabian with some terrifying pace in the McLaren. It looks so much quicker than everyone else at the moment. Meanwhile, look at this between Jan and Bonfo. Bonfo seems to have been battling with Jan there. Jan seems to back out. Who was doing that? What was that sound? Someone was asleep or something? It sounds like someone's sleeping, bro. Who is that? I'm checking. Oh, it sounds horrible, bro. Jan is battling with Felix here. Why is it like similar to breathing though? It's got like a tempo and everything. Man, Dan is doing what he can to defend against Fabian here, and Schenker's keeping them honest in P3. Jan though is all over the back of Bonfo. I can confirm it was Sajada making snoring noises, and it was not actually a wheel, as I predicted. Oh, and the wall goes Jan there in the hairpin, and meanwhile he's got now Ski behind him, just about missed out on DRS. Meanwhile, here comes Fabian on Dan, and the race lead fight is getting interesting now between these three. Can Dan fend off Fabian is the question. Are his wings low enough is the question. Because Fabian looking rapid at the moment. We've seen these two battle before for the race lead. We saw it in Qatar in season 12. Oh, Fabian brake really late, almost at the back of Dan, almost took him out. Jan there still, once again, looking way quicker than Bonfo at this stage. Into the wall, into the back of him. Has he got damage? I don't think he does. He got it's in the wall again though, but Ski's now on the back of these two as well. So the car's race coming alive a little bit here. It's Fabian now right behind Dan. Once again, applying the pressure where he can is Fabian now. Looking to get ahead of Dan. And if Fabian wins this race, he will be the championship leader, of course, over Pshenk in the second in the standings. Fabian looking really quick, trying to go back to back for wins here this season. Right behind Dan he is now. Dan on the exit of the corner. Has he got enough to defend against Fabian? Fabian looks really quick here. To the outside he goes, there's almost contact. To the inside goes Fabian. Dan squeezing where he can. Can he go around the outside? He does. Great racing from Dan. Goes around the outside to maintain the lead of the race. Good defense. Meanwhile, Jan is side by side with Bonfo now. And switchback heaven. What beautiful switchback from Jan. Around the outside he goes into this corner now. And he gets the move to stick. And into P4 he goes. Nice racing between these guys. Ski will now set his sights after Bonfo on those fresh hard tyres. It's fresher than John's behind in P7. He's just trying to get his way through the race with that front wing damage. But Fabian there continuing his charge against Dan, who is really struggling to maintain the race lead here against Fabian. He just looks so quick, so consistent all throughout this race. Oh, off the corner he goes. Fabian. Oh, Schenk made a big mistake. Almost spun into the wall there. Very close off the turn. Schenk made a massive, had loads of wheel spin off that corner. Fabian there once again though, looking very calm and collected through these corners. But, once again Schenk almost crashed around there. He's really struggling for grip with Schenk off these corners. Here comes Fabian once again on the outside of Dan. Almost contact, but once again Dan places his car in the perfect position to stay in front of Fabian. Putting up some great defending is Dan, but here comes Schenk once again now in this fight. So the top three, line astern through the final two corners now. What can Fabian manage now? The Ski closer to make a move on Bonfo. He's getting closer now, but the lead fight is definitely the most interesting at the moment, as you'd like to see. Fabian there right behind Dan, and so too is Schenk. This is getting real tight up at the front of the field. Schenk just staying close, saving battery where he can. And the top three all looking very close and consistent here. Watch out for warnings in this race. Fabian though looking close once again to the back of Dan's car. Schenk as well looking close. Meanwhile, yellow flag out. Is that Levy? Levy looks like has an issue. Or was it someone else? Was it Felix? What happened? I think it was Felix. I think he got lapped, if I'm not mistaken, because he just came out the pit lane. And once again, Fabian can't get past Dan. But this is great defending from Dan so far in this race. Trying to keep a calm, collected drive here is Dan. This is going to be so interesting when strategy gets involved in this. Ski there, trying to go to the end on the hard side. Looks really quick, but he's letting Jan pull away in P4. And Bonfo in P5 on the medium. Just getting close. What happened? What happened to Dan? Dan slid there. Just really struggling for gripping these corners against Fabian behind. He's also seemingly struggling just a little bit off these corners now. Look at that exit that Dan got there. Good stuff. And still, like things on, his Ski's actually closing in on Bonfo again, but it's just so close up front. There's nothing else to look at really. See, besides this lead fight. Yeah, flags are out again. Is that Felix? Looks like he's had an issue on his outlap. He's gone into the wall again. That could be a big issue for Felix now. Fabian there right behind Dan, trying his best to stay close. He's being really careful on the exit of these corners. He's got Ski. He's battling Bonfo. I didn't notice this. They're side by side when Bonfo just about stays ahead, but Ski is right behind him now. The battle for P5. He's going to go for a down inside here on his fresh hards. Goes for it, using the battery and the DRS off the corner. Is this enough for Ski to get past? He goes down inside into turn 1, and he makes it stick in the Ferrari ahead of the junior driver of Bonfo. Nice move from him. Meanwhile, the lead fight continues on. Fabian looking a little bit further back this time around, but a good exit off into the straight is enough to make a move on the car in front. But Dan there still continues his defense. Schenk. I think Schenk did just go off a little bit there. He's really struggling for grip, is Schenk here at the moment. But once again, Fabian just can't find a way past Dan. He's looking to put his car in the right places now. Great defending from Dan so far. Fabian's going to need to find an unorthodox place to try and overtake him, it looks like. Or else he's not going to find a way by. Unless Dan makes a mistake, of course, but they're looking pretty consistent, these two at the front. Strategy is also going to play a big part in this race, so I say to go during the pit stop cycles, not what these guys want, but meanwhile Ski, setting his sights after Jan in P4 on his fresh hard tyres. It's looking plausible that Ski could get out top 4 once again. He finished 4th in Australia. And Schenk's lost DRS in the top 2 here. So, Fabian there trying a different line to get past Dan. Taking his car, getting a nice exit. It looks a lot closer this time by to Dan. Once again though, Dan gets a great exit off the corner. So, looking very close in the battle for first place. And Fabian there, a bit of a slide off the corner there, and that's what Dan wants to see because Dan could pull away off the corner. And once again, Fabian now chasing him down on these straights. Both just saving battery, biding their time. Looking pretty close together, but Schenk will try his best to close in, but he just doesn't seem to have the pace in that Williams at the moment to stay close to Fabian and Dan. And Schenk pits. He's had enough of these tyres. He's going to try a different strategy. Onto the hards, I'll assume he goes. Going to the end, I believe he can on those hard tyres. Top 2 really staying close. Yeah, Flex is out. Oh, you pressed for a tyre. So, that was not going to be a safety car. And Ski now stays out. He's now chasing down Jan, but he just hasn't seemed to make any inroads on him just yet, despite being on full out pressure tyres. John now gets ahead of Schenk, and will look to hold him up in Fabian's favour. As Schenk might know he hasn't, so this is great for Fabian's race. He now has a rear gunner in the name of John. Going after him, here comes Fabian once again to the outside of the track. Goes around the outside of Dan. Can he make it stick this time? No, he can't. He's shown the curve once again, and Dan still maintains the lead of the race. Great racing between Dan and Fabian now in the battle for the race lead. I can't believe how well this is going between these two. I'm surprised they haven't crashed yet. But it's good to see good racing between these two. They've always had some clean battles. Here comes Levy now on Drags. They've both pitted already. Levy trying what he can to get past Drags now for P8. Levy goes to the outside line. It's side by side between them into turn 1. Can Drags send it? No, he won't. And he loses the place to Levy and P8 now. Felix unfortunately retiring from the race. He's had enough of this race today. Unfortunately, he wasn't even planning on racing, so I don't understand. Oh, I don't blame him for not racing. Meanwhile, Ski has actually lost a lot of time to Jan, I should say, in P3 on this hard tyre, looking pretty quick himself. Man, Fabian is right behind Dan, wringing the neck of that Aston Martin off these corners. Dan looking to be in clean air, it's making a big difference for him here. Here comes Fabian now down the inside into this corner. Can he go for it? He sends it down the inside. But Dan still remains firm on the outside line. That's side by side through the penultimate corner. Here comes Dan to the inside line. No, he can't make it. And Dan still maintains the lead of this race. Interesting battle between these two. This is super close racing between Dan and Fabian, but Dan doing a wonderful job defending. This is one of the best defensive drives I've ever seen from Dan. Constant pressure from Fabian, yet still not being put under any, losing out to him. As it stands, it would look like Dan would be the championship leader by 1 point, or 2 points rather, over Fabian and P2 in the championship, which would make this very interesting now. Schenk, the championship leader going into this race, would lose out, but of course it's a long way to go. That strategy for the undercut could be a good move from him because these top 2 squabbling so much. So unless Fabian can make a clean move, which he still can't, by the way, it's looking very likely that Schenk could very well. Oh, contact! Fabian hit the back of Dan there a little bit, braced just a little bit too late. Fabian has damage? Oh, no damage to Fabian, thankfully. And Dan now in P1, getting just a little bit of a nudge there from Fabian behind. He does look like the quicker driver for now, but Dan is still doing a good job. So what's the strategy going to be in this race? Will Fabian try and undercut on Dan, or will Dan be the one to go first? It's going to be very interesting to see how that works. Oh, Dan made a big sub, but so did Fabian. They both made a big mistake off that corner. And Jan is actually closing in on the top 2 now. Jan is looking like a contender in this race. An overcut could have been the best strategy. He did this in Kota, and it worked out in his favour in terms of track position. Could very well do the same again today here. But he just does not look quite as smooth through these corners as the top 2. We're still really struggling for traction here off these corners. But it is Dan doing what he can now through these turns. And Fabian makes a mistake just a little bit again, but he's still right behind Dan though. on the exit, and Dan's going to pit. Dan's going to go early, and that's probably not the best option, to be honest. We'll see how that plays out. He's trying to fight. It's exactly what Dan was planning on doing, but Fabian wants to go long, which is not a bad idea. He can probably go a few more laps, honestly, because the overcut can be very useful at this track. There's a big tyre deficit, even on the hard tyres. We'll see where he comes out relative to Pschenk, who's coming out of the final two corners now. Where is he going to come out in this race? Pschenk is going to be the one to look at here. Watching Pschenk's onboard, we'll see where Dan comes out. Will Dan come out in front? Pschenk now gets headed down. That's crucial for his race by a huge margin too, but he's got 2 lap fresher tyres, does Dan. Will this have been the right call for Pschenk? It's going to be the long game now for Dan to go after Pschenk, and he's lost out 3.5 seconds to Pschenk now in the Williams. Great outlap pace there from him, but Dan on much fresher tyres. Will look to chase him down. The battle for what is a net P1 in this race. We'll see where Fabian is in this as he tries to come in now. He's going to be pushing as hard as he can on his old medium tyres. Will he pit this lap or next lap? Now, the bigger the offset, the better it will be for him, but he'll also lose more time. Rain in 15 minutes. Interesting. That's good for Jan. Yeah, flags are out. Is that Jan? No, it's the Jan around! And he goes almost into ski there, and he's spun off around from what was potentially even a podium for him. And Jan makes a big mistake, and that costs him P4 on the track to, or P4 in the, well, net P4 I should say, to Ski in the Ferrari, which is currently P2 in the race. Of course, the safety car now make a big difference. Ski should try and go as long as he can. He might actually benefit massively from this now. He could be a contender to win the race. You know why? Because the rain is coming later in the race. Rain's forecast to come in 15 minutes, but that will be towards the very end of the race. So it's very plausible we could see Ski now in the fight for this race win if Pschenk and Dan can't close in on him enough to overtake him. This has become a very fascinating race for strategy, with the rain being imminent towards the end of the race. John also will be in that fight. He'll also look to defend against Pschenk, who's already closed in massively on him. He's got 10 lap fresher tyres, this Pschenk there on the hards. Should make a big difference, and Dan continue trying to close in now on the front, but Fabian as who stays out, wants to get that massive tyre off, so he'll lose a lot of time, but will it be enough? Dan has closed in about 3/10 on Pschenk in front, looking to go after him here. Will Dan manage to trade saving battery for going after raw pace here? It's going to be really close between these guys at the front in what will be the battle for the race lead in the end. So again though, Dan just doing what he can there, trying to chase down Pschenk, who's already closing in rapidly on John in front, but John is going to hold him up for Fabian's sake, which also will help Dan in this race. Oh, John's going in deep though. Oh man, this is going to be super hard for him to defend against Pschenk, but he's going to do what he can. Can he hold him up in these slower corners? Here comes Pschenk though, past John. Can he get past him on the inside line? John though will defend once again. And oh, some good defending from John, who's really holding up Pschenk. This is going to be very frustrating. Into the back of him he goes. And over the curb as well. This is giving Dan a huge advantage now in this race. Not at all what Pschenk wants to see. But surely he'll get past John on this straight, on those fresher tyres. We'll see. John has got plenty of battery to use. Heading off the straight now. He hasn't got DRS though. Pschenk does. And Pschenk with those lower wings will try and go past him. Can't quite manage to do so. Into the back he goes. He hits the back of John again. And now Dan is right behind Pschenk as well. And this is exactly what Dan wants. He hasn't quite got DRS because there's a double DRS detection point. Here he goes, trying down the inside of John. Will John hang around the outside? He can't do it just yet, but he's going to get DRS, I think. He does. He gets DRS on Pschenk. It's not over yet, this battle, I don't think. Oh, and John just doesn't quite... He has framing damage, I'm pretty sure, so I don't think he can make it. But Dan now right behind John. Can Dan now get past John in full position now? To the outside he goes. Dan sends it around the outside. That was a great overtake from Dan. Will that be illegal, though? It's not. Not illegal for Dan. Interesting. I didn't expect that, but no, Dan has DRS on Pschenk as well now, way quicker than he would have probably done so ordinarily. So this is really bad for Pschenk now in this race. But he has got track position. Fabian, however, has not, so he's going to have to click up huge amounts of time. Look how much he lost from that. He lost about 6 seconds to Pschenk and Dan in front, but he'll have way fresher tyres and a massive advantage, especially over Pschenk, whose tyres will be very worn out. And Dan's gone wide, chasing down Pschenk there for net P1. Net P1 at the moment that goes to Ski as Jan spun out of what would have been a net P1 at the moment. Fascinating race here at Singapore, as ever. Race much better, much far exceeded my expectations going into it, but this is really big for the championship fight between these guys, and certainly is very exciting to watch. Big title contenders all looking very poised to get big points here. Pschenk makes a big mistake. Here comes Dan now on the straight. Pschenk trying to weave to break the toe. He's got double DRS detection, does Dan, so this can be massively in his favour, but this is also going to help Fabian catch up. A little bit of slide there from down off the exit, going into the corner, I should say, in the braking zone. Locked the rears a little bit there, and now we'll try and stay behind Pschenk, who is using some battery, it looks like, to pull away from Dan on the straight. after Dan made a difficult exit off the corner there, but Dan's fresher tyres looking like they are inevitably going to be in his favour. But meanwhile, look how much Fabian's gaining on the top guys. Fabian's gained a second on Dan. Dan needs to get past Schenk quickly for his own race, because otherwise he's going to lose out massively to Fabian. But of course the rain could hit before then, so there's so much into this race that could be playing a factor today. One of which being Ski on those hard tyres could very well go to the end, and if he can do so and keep good pace, he could win the race if he can get those tyres to the end. And we've seen how good his tyre saving can be. Dan there, he's on fresher tyres than you, Jan, and he has better tyre saving. Dan that's still right behind him, doing what he can. Dan they're struggling to braking through these corners on the hard tyres, but he's still looking quicker than Schenk for now. Top two both ABS off users. They don't use ABS because they're the goats. But Dan is still really close to Schenk now, getting some dirt together. And Fabian now goes past John, and this is really what Fabian needs now. Fabian sets his sights after the race leading cars and net race leaders. 4.5 seconds the gap. 4.2 I should say. Almost 4 seconds already. And Dan is getting held up by Schenk for this middle part of the lap, where Schenk has been doing a great job defending today against Dan. Schenk hasn't had the ability to defend yet until now, where he's now finally got track position. But how many laps left or what? There is about 13 laps to go in the race. Oh, so what was that? Is that right? Yeah. 13, 14 laps to go. Make it 30 when you cross the line, or Ski does anyway. And Dan there right behind. Once again, they're Fabian closing in rapidly. Yeah, it's like that Levy in the wall. He is, yeah, he's in the wall on the straight. There's a safety car. Safety car. And Jan can pit and come out right in the midst of this. He can go onto medium tyres. And will Ski pit? No, he doesn't. Dan doesn't pit. Then Fabian is now right behind. What's he going to do? He's pitting. Fabian pits now. Interesting. Oh, but John pitted too. Why on earth would they both pit? That's going to be a disaster for them because they're going to lose track position. And Bonfo stays out anyway. And Jan's strategy does work. And now on the medium tyres, he will be in a great position in this race. Will Jan? Interesting. They're really not, Fabian. Can't lie. Ski there actually benefited massively from that safety car. He's now got track, but actually then again, he actually lost all of the track time that he did have. So actually this probably is a really bad thing for Ski. But this does give him a chance to save his tyres. So Ski could very well win the race now on strategy. And Jan on fresh medium tyres now. Jan could very well win the race when the rain hits, because I'm sure it will now, because we've now had two safety cars, which will push the rain even closer to the track. This is going to get really interesting at the end of this race. Jan needs to be careful on his outlap to not fuck up his tyres. Now, someone needs to check the forecast. 10 minutes till rain, and that means rain could very well hit the track before the end of the race and provide some more drama at the end. So, this race is far from over. 15 minutes till rain, says Dan. Well, no, with this safety car it won't. Laps are quite long around here, remember. And the fastest lap is actually 1 minute 33.2 by Dan, so he actually will get maximum points assigned if he wins, but he's currently in P3, and he's got Schenk and Ski now in front of him to get through, and Bonfo and Jan are ahead of Fabian as well, which is not played out in his favour, but Fabian much more comfortable on the mediums than these cars in front, so this is really interesting. If you look at it actually, it's almost, once again, just like in Australia, completely reversed in terms of tyre strategy. The quickest tyres and the least aged tyres at the back of the grid, the oldest tyres at the front on the harder compounds as well. And Ski pits. Ski does not want to be in the lead, and that's going to be a benefit to Schenk now. And it takes the lead of the race, the championship leader, back into first, looking for his first win of the season. So too is Dan, so too is Bonfo and Jan. So the top four all have not won a race this season. Of course, Fabian has in P6. He's the only winner in this race currently. Jan looking for his redemption after fumbling this strategy in Kota. And he has got Fabian behind him, but if he can get past Bonfo on the restart, he can very well get on the podium today. And maybe even win. Meanwhile, is that John coming out in front of Ski? Just about gets in ahead. Ski was unlucky enough to not be able to pit. Ski there goes on to hard tyres. I don't know if that was the strat, I can't lie. Probably should have gone to mediums, honestly. But Ski does seem to prefer the hard, so fair enough to him. That's a very risky move, but fair enough. Jan is going to be very aggressive on this restart. Anything to get on the podium, he says. I actually did get a podium that season, Dan. Anyway. Oh, Jan hit the back of him. Did Jan just hit the back of Bonfo? And he did. And he got 10 seconds. Jan, I swear to God, can you just pay attention for once? Didn't. That's such a shame for Jan, man. Jan should pit again to serve the penalty under the safety car. Jan, you should have. You should probably pit to serve that penalty while you can. I think that would be the best course of action at this point. Do you have softs or hards? By the way, how have you not got any mediums? Didn't you start the race on hards? Jan, you should have a set of mediums available to you. You have mediums, no? Oh yeah, did you do a different compound strategy for this? Oh, I see. So, yeah, unfortunately, Jan will pit to serve the penalty and go onto hard tyres. Make sure to select them, by the way. Dragster comes out of the final corner, and Jan will now be down in last place, unfortunately for him. But at least he will have no penalty, and he will be on hard tyres till the end, which is a pretty decent tyre choice. That's a shame for Jan there. He crashed into the back of Bonfo for a while, yapping about winning and getting podiums. What, John? I can't hear a word you said, John. Oh, he is, yeah. You had a good battle with him at the start, though. I can see. You have nowhere, so you'll be fine to push to the end. I can tell you, actually. Drags has pitted 4 fucking times this race. Twice. So Fabian, John... Now, Fabian has much less people to go past in this race. Fabian could very well. Looks like John and Fabian, John and Bonfo are gonna have to fight again. That's fun. Dan having to plead with Bonfo to defend against Fabian on his fresh mediums. Will the rain hit? That's what I want to see. I hope rain hits. Hope there's another safety car and there's more rain. 8 people remain in this race, 3 of which have retired from those people that started the race. Those being Levy, Felix, and Sorabi. Levy just seemed to crash by himself in a straight line. I think he just drove into a wall and it stuck out. John saying it's this time to chime. John promptly saying no, it's not. But Pshank in P1 with Dan in P2. Pshank on the oldest tyres of anyone in this race, looking to make his defence work. Of course, Fabian managed it in Australia. Can Pshank manage it in Singapore? Gets a great restart. And they both have full battery. They all have full battery now in the front of the field. Maybe not everybody. I think Jan might have some batteries. No, he hasn't. He's got full battery too. So the whole field completely reset basically in this race with some different tyre compounds as well. Pshank already sliding around on this restart. Really struggling for traction. And he's got Dan right behind him. He almost hit the back from there. Fabian's already on the back of Bonfo, but not quite as close as Dan is to Pshank. Around the outside he can go. Can he make it stick? That'll be a great overtake by Dan. Round the outside of turn 4. Gets the move to stick, it looks like. Can he make it work on the outside? It's 3 right behind. Is that Jan going past? Drags and Ski. Can Dan make it down the inside of Pshank? Into the corner he goes. Dan goes down the inside of Pshank, pushes him off, but he does get the move. And here comes Fabian now into P2. And Pshank will now send it on the inside line. And Fabian goes round the outside and gets P2 on the restart. Now it's time for Dan to lock in, but already Fabian's right behind him. And now it's going to be a crazy defense from Dan to get ahead. And John's at P3 now on the medium tyres. This could be a 1-2 for McLaren here. Meanwhile, Jan with front wing damage is battling hard. Now look at this battle between these guys. Bonford doing anything he can to fend off Ski. Had a terrible restart. Down to P6 from P3. It's the back of him. Contact, big collision there with Ski as well. And Jan involved in that too. And Bonford, I don't know how he didn't get damage from that from the looks of things. But still, it's now Fabian and John, both McLarens, putting all the pressure in the world on Dan for the race lead. And it looks as though Dan is going to have to really drive the wheels off that Aston Martin to stay ahead of McLaren's at the moment. But here comes Ski now battling with Drags for P7. Can he send it down the inside? He's going to absolutely send it down the inside. And he fully sends it, but here comes Drags back on the outside now with front wing damage. And he still gets back past him. Great move there from him. Gets ahead of him now. John actually could win the race. I wouldn't even be surprised if he did, because he has fresher tyres. He would have to fight his teammate though. Is it worth it for the championship? John, however, hasn't won in a long time. He hasn't won since season 13 Australia. So this is going to be a really interesting fight for the win between these three. And Dan just has to do anything he can to survive this onslaught by the two cars behind. But look how much quicker Fabian is in the corners. Surely it's going to be over for him on the straight. Dan can put up a huge defense. Goes to the inside line. Not really taking a defensive line, but Fabian on the inside once again. Dan squeezing him. Will Dan send it around the outside? Yes, he will. Goes for it. He's trying his best to stay around the outside. And it's still side-by-side through into the hairpin. Will Fabian wrap around the outside? Dan is trying what he can to get the overlap. Struggling for traction on the exit. Fabian sends it on the inside line. Contact. Fabian almost spins. Dan goes right outside. Here comes John now for second. John gets him. Gets his teammate into second place. Now John goes for the race lead on Dan. This came out of nowhere for John in this race. How on earth has John put himself in this position? I said before the race he could win, and yeah, it looks like he genuinely can. He's right behind Dan through here. Will he send it in the hairpin? Nobody sets up a move on the next straight with the DRS. And John looking very fast against Dan. John looking very quick against Dan and going on the straight. Can he get past him in this double DRS zone? Will he send it down the inside? No, he won't. Fabian Soler, Dan locking up on the rear. And John sends it through the curb there, trying to get past on the exit. Can he make a move on Dan? Down the straight with the DRS. It's looking really plausible here. Dan runs out of battery, looks like. And it's to the outside goes John. Dan doing anything he can to defend. Pushes John off the track. John goes off and will look as though he'll take the lead of the race. That's a controversial one. But I think John got away with that. And Dan get back past. It's going to be a matter of opinion, really. Look at this though. Here comes John there. He's struggling. It's through wide for the race lead. He goes Fabian on the outside. And he goes for it. Dan sends it down the inside and pushes Fabian to the curb. And Dan still leads the race now. Doing anything he can to defend against the McLarens. He pushes him into the wall. And it's side by side heading into the DRS detection point. Dan's still in front and he still fends off the McLarens behind, sliding through every corner on those hard tyres, doing anything he can to defend. Here comes Fabian, still side by side with Dan on the exit of the corner. John's doing what he can to get past and Fabian's got him. Can Dan get back past? I don't think he can. Here comes John around the outside in the McLaren. His teammate, but Dan's still there. Here comes John, that's the inside. Can he go past in the hairpin? He's going to send it down the inside. On the curb though, he's going to get pushed wide. And he gets contact with him now. Shank's now in this fight as well on those old hard tyres. Where the fuck did he come from? He was leading on the restart. After a mistake got swamped by the field, is now back in this fight in P4. And Fabian, for the second race in a row, looks as though he's going to win. And for the third race in a row at this track. Oh, and Dan goes into the wall. This could be big for his race, but he's still in P2 and he can still hold on to that position. But John is all over the back of him here. Reminding me of season 11 when these two used to battle very often for P2 in races. Seems to be a trend. But now, John is right behind Dan here for P2. This is so close between these guys. Can John get past him now? It's looking so close between the top two. Dan going mega defensive on the outside line. Almost put him in the wall. Almost put them both in the wall. That would put Schenk in this fight massively. But Dan still is fending off. And Fabian is running away with the race win here in the McLaren. Will he get fastest lap? Yes, he does with a 33.0. And Dan still fending off John in P3. Just needs to do anything he can to save battery and keep John behind him. Down into turn one. Dan doing a wonderful job. A stellar defense in the Aston Martin here at the moment. So Dan continues on his way. Was trying anything he could to delay the inevitable of the McLaren's going past, and it looks like he's still doing so. And now after the corner, here comes John with a great exit once again on Dan now for P2. And he's going to go for it on the inside line with the DRS. No, he's not going to go for it. He's going to go for the outside line. No, Dan once again with the start of defense in the Aston Martin, stays in front of John, but slides off the exit of the corner, and John's going to go for it down the inside. Dan is trying anything he can to just stay in front of John. I saw rain. Is that rain coming into the equation now? Oh my god, there's no way. With 7 laps to go, make it 6 when Fabian crosses the line. We could very well see rain here at Singapore in the closing laps. What a race this is turning into. Ever since that restart, has been complete chaos in this race. And John there just trying anything he can to get past. Shank's trying what he can down. I don't think it has damage, but rain is coming down. You can see it on the cars now. Rain is going to make this really bad for the hard tyre runners who are going to struggle massively for traction on these corners now. Those being Dan, Shank and Bonfo of the oldest tyres of anyone. Meanwhile, Ski is fending off Jan behind. Jan's made a mistake, he's gone straight on, and he loses off the track, goes off, he has front wing damage, and he's lost loads of positions down to P7, right as it went over to him. Meanwhile, Dan's still fending off John for P2, doing anything he can to survive this onslaught from McLaren. Man, this is so close between these guys, and the rain is going to make a big difference here. Who's going to be the first to make a move? Is it going to be enough rain to justify pitting for intermediates at the end? Or can someone take a risk and stay out? This is going to be a fascinating end to the race. Ski's actually right behind Schenk now on those hard tyres. Ski's back in this fight for the podium now, looking to get retribution for season 13 when he almost got the podium, but couldn't quite manage to do so. John, meanwhile, still chasing down Dan for P2. John, of course, finishing second in this. Oh, sorry, he missed out on the podium in season 12 back in the day. Can he go for it once again here on these fresh mediums? He's still trying to chase down Dan for position. This is a really aggressive fight. Jan goes on to Inters. That was not the worst move in the world. Meanwhile, Ski goes right outside of Schenk now, goes into P4, and will now chase down John and Dan for P2 in this very heated fight for the podium. What a race here in Singapore. The race seems to be Fabulous to lose once again, looking to go for 2 for 2 in the season. Already doing a much better job this season than last season at this point in the season. It's a season 3 times in 1 sentence. And Dan still chasing down John, or being chased down by John, I should say. 4 P2, doing what he can to defend. And Ski there wants to get DRS, but I don't think he quite got it there. It's hard to tell. Will he get DRS at the exit? I don't think he did. Let's watch. If he doesn't get DRS, but John does on Dan. He's going to go for it here. John left the door open. That was not the best move from him. I don't know why he did that. And John there still side by side with Dan on the exit. Oh, Dan's sliding. And he's really struggling for grip, and John does get second place. But can Dan get back at him here with the battery? To the inside he goes. He's being very aggressive to the inside line. Sends it down the inside, but he brakes way too late and completely costs himself time there. Comes back on the track side by side with John. Shen gets 3 seconds now, meanwhile. Well, that's going to fuck his race. So he's now going down to P6, the championship leader will. So this has got huge championship implications in this race. But Dan there comes off the corner. He's still right behind John. The rain is really making a difference here. Down inside goes down into turn 1. Once again, he goes off the track. But I think it was a legal overtake somehow. And here comes Ski now in the fight. He could get P2 in this race. Looking very quick in these mixed conditions. We've seen Ski always come alive in the wet conditions. It's difficult conditions, but not quite enough. Dan is doing anything he can to defend against both cars behind him. Here comes Ski, here comes John as well. It's going to be 3 wide into the corner, it looks like. It is 3 wide. That's going to be a crash, surely. Oh my god. Off the track goes 2 cars. Into the wall goes Ski, big damage. And Dan spins around. Oh, Dan's spinning around there. We'll try and rejoin next to Bonfo. And that 3 wide moment has ruined Dan's race a little bit there. And Dan in P5 now, behind Bonfo. And Ski's up into the podium positions. And now, can Ski get past John into P2 on those hard tyres? It looks like it's very possible. He looks very calm and collected in these conditions, does Ski now. He sent it on John in the middle sector, almost crushed him out. And this, oh man, complete chaos in this race. In these changeable conditions. Can Dan pit for Inters and try something different at the end? It might be worth it, honestly, because he's got nothing to lose at this point. But no, Dan, chill out, man. It's the end. It's just the third race of the season. But Dan there in P5. Oh, Ski. That's the product of not pitting, man. It was a risk he took to not pit in that situation. Ski pits. Ski makes a last-second decision to pit for intermediate tyres. He does not want to stay out in these conditions. Will Dan do the same? Yes, he will. Drax has left the session. I think he disconnected. I'll invite him back, but not sure if he wants to race anymore. We'll see. There he is. So, here starts. Oh, that's going to lose into Schenk as well now. And Ski comes out, Dan comes out behind both of them, so Dan's race coming undone here. But if the rain does come down more, this will be massively advantageous to Dan at the end of this race, and it looks really wet now. Look how much Fabian is struggling on his medium tyres. It might be time for him to pit now for Inters, which I think will be just about the quicker tyre. Dan pushing hard, trying to close in on the cars in front, and just really close in on these cars at the front of the field. Wait, did Fabian spin? Oh, Fabian has damage on the front wing, and this is huge for this race now. The driver is looking poised to get the championship lead. In the wet conditions, is now struggling. Here comes Schenk. He's already overtaken Drax with P4. Can Schenk win the race now on the intermediate tyres? What a comeback it would be if he can. Unbelievable scenes. Has he got a penalty, though? He has 3 seconds, so that means, in theory, Ski, if he does... Oh, he just went around the outside of Drag's AI car. Ski could win the race because of the penalty for Schenk, unless he served it in the pit lane. We'll see. But no, Ski's now outside of 3 seconds of Schenk now. What a fascinating end to the race. Will Fabian pit is the question. Will he serve the damage as well? This is going to be fascinating into the race. Fabian, oh, Ski, no, Ski gets a penalty. He'll probably appeal that penalty though because he overtook Drag's AI car off the track. That was fair enough, honestly. Oh, Fabian's changing the front wing, and this could be some fortune here for Dan and for the other cars in the front running fight because they most definitely now have a chance to get back ahead of him again. And Fabian, though, on those intermediate tyres, will do what he can. Can Dan stay close enough? John got 3 seconds now, and that's going to give Bonfo a chance to win this race now. You may as well stay out at this point if you're the top two because there's not really much to lose at this point. It's definitely too wet to be on dry tyres by now. Gets another 3-second time penalty. That one most definitely will count, and that means that Ski could very well still win the race if he can appeal that penalty. But Fabian on fresh inters will now be rapid on this restart, or not restart, on this leg of the race in the wet conditions. But Dan back into a decent position again. He's now behind multiple of those front-running contenders. Jan there in P7 gets head of Drag's AI car, who's just staying out on medium tyres. What is John going to do now? John could actually lose the race to Bonfo. But I think they're going to lose too much time to Schenk to justify staying out because Schenk is already chasing them down and Ski also is losing time now to Schenk in front of him. But he's doing what he can in the wet conditions. Schenk is very good in the rain, we've seen before. And, oh wow, this is a really fascinating race. I still don't know who's going to win. Ski's penalty may not count. I think he will appeal it and we'll see what the verdict is. So this probably will be a battle for potentially a net P2 depending on how Schenk and John manage to do in these conditions. But a whole 2 more laps of this, I don't think there's any point staying out. They may as well pit. There's no way this is going to work in their favour. I mean, they wouldn't make any difference if they stayed out or not. Yeah, flags are out, and that's Jan out of the race. No safety car. I'm Schenk. Why did he crash? Oh no, he hit the wall on the left side there, and he's out of the race. And Drag's AI car. Oh, so that's not Drag's AI car anymore. That's just Drag's. And here comes Ski now chasing down Bonfo. Schenk looks like he could win here. John goes to the inside and Schenk takes the lead of the race, and this could be the first win of the season for Schenk on strategy. What a race it would be if he could. What a race. John does pit. Bonfo still stays out. He thinks it's better off to stay out. Honestly, I don't blame him. Ski there chasing him down. You never know if there was a crash behind. Bonfo gets a penalty now. He lets Ski pass, so too does he let Fabian pass. Dan there chasing them down. Dan looking to get P4 here. Will be a good comeback despite his issues. Maybe even better than that. We'll see what the penalties are looking like. And we could still see a collision between Fabian and Ski for P2. Ski there looking pretty good to get a podium maybe, and Dan gets 3 seconds now. Fortunately there for Dan, but everyone seems to be struggling with the penalties. Another penalty now just came out to someone, it looks like. Actually, I just realised Schenk must have made a mistake or something because Ski's back within 6 seconds of him again. This could mean that Ski and Fabian are battling for the race win now if that penalty does not count for Ski. So this is getting really interesting. This could be the battle for the net race lead between these two if Schenk didn't serve his 3-second penalty. If he did, he'd have to prove it because otherwise it won't count as a served penalty. That's how it works. But, oh my. Bonfo doing what he can, and Dan tries to get past Bonfo, but he's doing anything he can to defend his Bonfo now. And no, he lets him pass, and Dan does get P4 now. Ski's penalty may not count, but Ski's doing anything he can to get a chance to win this race on Schenk in front. And it's looking super close here at the end of the race between these guys. I do not know who's going to win. It could be Fabian, it could be Ski, it could be Schenk. I don't know what the penalties are going to look like. I don't know what the end of the race is going to look like. It's going to look super close here. Ski got pole in wet conditions in Season 13. Could he potentially get his first career victory? He is most certainly guaranteed his first career podium, despite the 10 seconds. I think that 10 seconds won't count because he did overtake an AI car that was going very slowly, and it wasn't really a fair illegal overtake in my opinion. But you never know what they'll say in the stewards after the race. But last lap of the race begins. Schenk now doing what he can to stay in the lead and not make mistakes. With that 6-second penalty, the championship leader coming into the race could very well lead it coming out of it. But, oh, Fabian gets 3 seconds too now. So he's definitely not going to finish ahead of Ski now if the penalty doesn't count. But he also most definitely is not going to finish ahead of Schenk. So this is big for Schenk in the championship now. What on earth is this race? Here was Fabian now once again chasing down Ski. Who's going to win? It's going to come down to penalties, it looks like. What a chaotic race in Singapore, which is what happens when you have 31 laps and 2 safety cars. You get wet races when there is probably, well, wasn't going to be any other track, let's be real. But you never know. Ski looks so much quicker in the first sector than Schenk in front. it really is just a matter of who's going to drive the cleanest at the end of the race here. Shank's really struggling in these conditions to stay in front of Ski in P2. And even if he served 3 of those seconds of his penalties, it looks like he could still actually win the race on track anyway. And he's doing anything he can to chase down Shank for that. So Fabian's spun, he's in the wall! Fabian's crashed out! He's not out of the race completely, but he's got front wing damage. He completely lost it, and that could give a chance to Dan to get P3. Unbelievable scenes here at the end of the race. Fabian has big damage on that car, and Dan will do it. He's got damage too, though, on the front left-hand plate of the car. Unbelievable scenes. Oh, Fabian's letting that customer a chance to go after Ski for the position, potentially. With the penalty as well, it could actually give Ski the second place anyway, and maybe even the win. This is crazy work. And Shank there, doing what he can. Ski is chasing him down, but Shank on the road at least will win the race, but I'm not sure if that's going to count, because if Ski's penalty gets investigated, he will win the race. So it's either Shank or Ski who can win, and that's unbelievable scenes. I cannot believe that happened. Fabian there with the damage could very well lose out to P2 at the end on the track. No, he doesn't. Ski, I think, won the race. I think Ski did. Wait, look at John. What happened to John? And Dan there will finish to P4 at the end, unfortunately for him. After a wonderful race he had. And John will come home to finish P5. Oh, Shank didn't serve his penalties, but Ski, I think, did. Ski's penalty was debatable. We'll see. We have to investigate the penalty, though, I believe, before we can confirm that Ski won the race. But Shank did not serve his penalties. So, if I'm not mistaken, if Ski's penalty truly does not count, he would win his first ever race in NPL here at Singapore and get himself right into championship contention. Unbelievable. I don't think it would, because he was an AI car that was going on the racing line on dry tyres when he was on wets, and he overtook him slightly off the track. So I don't know what to think, because honestly, there were more overtakes off the track that were much further off the track than what Ski did during this race. Yeah, honestly, Dan, I think the incident there wasn't necessarily karma, but it was certainly the product of defending like that, I can't lie. Yes. Having did get fastest lap, by the way, by over 3/10 over, also 2/10 over Dan, who was the second quickest driver today, by definitely the top 2 quickest drivers today were Fabian and Dan in the drive. But in the wet, Ski was super fast. So let's have a look in the Discord chat. I'm going to look for confirmation on the stream just to confirm who won the race, because it's a matter of the steward's opinion. I don't know if it needs investigating or not. We'll see what's going on. We should ask Ski, though. No, but Ski had 10 seconds. Ski had 10 seconds. Does that penalty count? I think Ski's penalty doesn't count, which would mean he would win the race, and that would be big news for Dan, because he wouldn't lose as many points then, actually. But what a race, man. Shank will still be the championship leader coming out of this race regardless, but uh, yeah, so Ski there, start a ticket. He's not said anything yet. From what I saw, he overtook Ski off the track. Oh, it was like drags off the track, but it was his AI car. It was on dry tires. He was trying to avoid a collision, I would argue. So I think all the tick boxes get checked out for Ski to get the race win here in Singapore. We'll see, though. I want to confirm it on the stream. That was fair enough, John. You did a great race. You almost won. It was a crazy lead fight. That was a wonderful race, again, at Singapore. Probably better than the last 2 seasons, honestly, overall. Yeah, on the Discord, there's a ticket section. But why won't Ski talk anymore? Why is he not talking? Well, there it is. I just want to make sure I get the final results before I end the stream, actually. I just want to see if I can get that. Listen, P1. Yeah, P1. Yeah, we do need we can't just investigate nothing. Like we need to see what happened. No, I'm messaging him on DMs now talking about it. He says he has no footage, but you can I got it on stream so I can show that footage if he wants to investigate it. Yeah, 2 seconds. If you can't beat that, you're shit. Triggered lengths. Still, anyone watching the stream still, I'm waiting for confirmation that Ski won the race for the first time in his career. I'll tell him what lap this incident happened on, actually. That's probably a good idea. That's funny, Dan, I can't lie. Yeah, Dan, I do agree that this is far from over. You did a good job. Dan, please don't say that, for fuck's sake, man. You say this every fucking time anything happens. I know, but just don't stop. Don't even fucking joke about it, bro. Don't even joke about it. I honestly should. Is there an ability to overrule Ethan's decision if it is a staff decision? Because genuinely, I don't know how that's going to work. There is footage of it. I just hope he does. Wait, the drags one with Sajada? So as it stands, I do believe realistically it will be Ski that wins the race. Oh, I think it just got logged. It was from Ski. Yeah, I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it. It's on right now. Look on my channel. I don't know what the final decision is going to be. I don't know if Ethan's even here. Where is the incident with Drags? I believe it was just before this, before he pitted. I think it was lap 28. It was indeed. Let's have a look at the onboard. Oh no, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You know, he did not deserve that penalty at all. That was not even remotely. That was barely off the track, dude. What the fuck? Yeah, lap 28 in the middle sector. Yeah. Let me go back. I gotta make a clip. Hold on. Let me make a clip and then send the clip. Yeah, this is ridiculous, man. Like, how is I don't know how that was a penalty. That's ridiculous. That's like if you overtaking John off the track so many times was not a penalty and that makes no sense. Respectfully, I don't know. I don't think he's in the Discord, but yeah, I'll forward it to you. Hold on, bro. Can you have some patience, man? It takes a second. I'll just forward it to you. Is this the incident with Ski that you're looking for? What are you on about? The previous what? I think it was a 22.5. Wait, no, 26. I'm at 20.6. And season 12 was a 25, I believe, which is even quicker because I got pole. Yeah, honestly, that's the worst illegal overtake call I've ever seen in my life. I think that is honestly Ski's win to lose. What down? Oh my God. What were you crashing out about? For what? For, GT7 or what? Oh wait, what? Are you on a phone? What's a gold? Should I just confirm it then that he's not getting a penalty? Okay, official word has come out to anyone watching the stream still. I don't think anyone's watching anyway, but in case anyone watches to this point in the stream, officially Ski is a first time podium and race winner Praise say and race winner. He wins the Singapore Grand Prix, the third round of the NPL Championship from Shanker P2, Fabio in P3, and Dan in P4. We have John in P5, followed by Bonfo P6, Drags P7, P8 to Jan. The P9, I believe, was would it have been Levy, I think it was. P10 was Felix, P11 was Sarabi on his return to NPL. What a race. One of the best races at Singapore ever by far. One of the best. I think it was honestly as good, if not better, than both season 12 and season 13. Yeah, great racing all the way through the race. The lead fight was insane. Honestly, I would go as far as say that was the best Singapore Grand Prix we've ever had. And we had a first-time winner as well. So wonderful stuff. Absolute chaos. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's going to be very fun to watch. We'll see you then.